Down to I feel so David Letterman right now.
Oh my
The
gosh.
fact that I have an actual countdown, like I don't have a dude, that puts his finger up or a woman that puts her finger up. It's like 2, 1, but I got a computer that does it. So that's an advancement. That's something. It's semi-professional. You know what I mean?
Right.
It looks like all the streams are up. I can't tell. Let me see what this. See if I can make sure that we're on IG. I see I'm on my Twitch right now, and I can see like the older videos, but I didn't see the red dot. Oh no, we're live. It's ready. There's a delay, so people will be asking us questions, and those questions may come up late, but it's all good. We can tolerate that. We can deal with that. Okay, so tell us real quickly where you're from and what your names are. We'll start out that way. You
Okay.
want to go first, Charity?
Sure, I guess. My name is Charity Hamidullah, and I'm originally from Rochester, New York.
How'd you end up in Atlanta?
Tattooing. That's
Being
what.
the
Yeah,
tattoo
tattoo
business.
artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Monica?
My name's Monica Tooks, and I'm actually from Biloxi, Mississippi. I'm from the Gulf Coast by way of New Orleans. My family's from New Orleans. And I ended up in Atlanta for college. I went to Spelman.
Oh wow, you're a Spelmanite.
Yes.
From Biloxi. Did you ever go to the casino? You take your Spelmanites back home, go to the casino, or was it 1 or 2 casinos there? Maybe.
Oh, tons. Well, actually, the casino was my first job before I came here. I was the only female valet driver at the time.
Being a leader.
When they first opened.
Breaking glass ceilings. Look at you.
You know, we women got to be the first.
Hey, somebody's got to win. And just you guys are about winning. So listen, tell me how each of you got into the art. Monica, were there family members that were artists, or did you just fall into it? How did it start out for you?
My mom's a creative. I'm from a military family, but my mom, I found out later on when I was in college that she was an incredible portrait artist. So she used to do a lot of pencil work, stuff that I actually hate. And yeah, I found all these portraits of all of her friends, guys she used to date, people that were in her circle when she was in college, and they were absolutely incredible. Like they look like photographs.
Wow. So she's got that imagery.
Yeah. But other than that, just me.
But other than that,
just me. Everybody else is in the military.
Wow. They couldn't trick you. You went to college.
No.
I'm not mad at that. Charity, what about you? Are you the only artist or?
No, I mean, I think everybody has sort of a creative niche in general. But within my parents, my dad's a writer. He actually teaches English, so I consider that an art form for sure. And then my mother, she's always been a doodler, a journaler. So I definitely got the creative.
Did you mute yourself?
She did.
Can you hear her? I can't hear her.
I can't hear you anymore, Charity.
I hope I don't have to write her a message. Like
yeah.
I need a sign. Like I need to actually make myself some signs that say we can't hear you.
She's about to fix it.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll fix it in just a second. She got it? Nope. I hear background. I hear air. It's gone.
Oh, we just
back. She's gone. Oh man, it could have been the whole internet, Monica.
Okay.
She broke the internet.
She should. Her little creative self.
She figured that one out.
Yeah, she should.
She's back now.
And she's back, and still no volume.
And still no audio. She's got to find the right little selector on her phone or laptop so she can get the audio. There's a little microphone that mutes. You don't want to click that one. There's a gear sign. If you click the gear sign, That'll take you to a list of settings. One of the settings is audio, and you want to select your in and out, probably your local microphone on your phone. I hope
Okay,
she
did
heard
I
me.
get it?
There
Yeah,
you
you
go.
did.
Okay, cool.
Yep, perfect.
Sorry about
You're back. You did it.
that.
You did it. So we didn't hear anything about your family or how you became an artist. We just saw you laughing.
What? Okay, so I got to start all over then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Want to hear
You're
it?
gonna have
Okay.
to start over.
It was just really short and simple. My dad's a writer. My mom, she doodles. Grandfather, he did photography. Didn't even know he was a photographer, but he definitely was when I looked at all his photos. So I feel creativity has totally just been in my family in general. Everybody had a creative spirit to them. And then it was just natural for me to become an artist. I've always been drawing and painting, and lucky to have art teachers that really helped me out along the way.
Where or at what level were you introduced to drawing and painting?
Oh, I was drawing and painting since I was a child. And then I started getting into art competitions probably like in middle school,
Okay.
and just been sort of flourishing since then.
It's interesting because now, to my knowledge, a lot of schools and a lot of academic programs no longer have art or music. So it's always interesting to hear at what point people started, to get into art or get into music because, previously, like when I was in school, they had band class, they had art class, they had actually
Right.
shop classes, they
I
had to
remember,
show us the safety video.
I had shop class.
You remember,
Yes, me too.
you guys remember the safety video?
not
No,
to like knowledge.
Y'all weren't paying attention. You had to pay attention to the safety
Probably
video.
not.
So
well,
you didn't cause an accident. You had to see the gross video where the dude got hit in the eye with a piece of metal because he wasn't wearing the safety glasses. You had to see the dude he fake cut his finger off, in the shop while
see,
he
I
didn't
remember
use the
that.
safety.
But remember, I said I was from Mississippi, so I was skeet shooting in that class already in middle school. So they
Guns.
just put us out there. We
Like, here,
learned
take this gun.
quick. We learned quick.
Take this gun. Get to work.
We were already doing it. So they were like, hey, y'all already know the routine.
Was there anything you ever saw that drew you to art? Did you see something and that made you either ask how they did that and you started doing it, or did you just see imagery and you just started to work your way into the art realm?
Charity or me? Or
I'll take Monica for 100.
for me, honestly, sports, because I was a cheerleader. And being a fierce competitor, I cheered, I played softball, ran track. I got on the basketball team, but I didn't like basketball. And our teams in the South, we had these run out signs where the football team runs through them and the
Okay.
cheerleaders hold them before every game, like to introduce your team, like St. Martin Yellow Jackets. And then they run through the run out sign,
Right.
football field, where I wanted the signs to be dope. Like I wanted to make the local news. So
Right.
I got this girl group together, some of the other cheerleaders, and somebody volunteered their sidewalk. And me and my mom got these giant markers and paper and stuff from school. And we started creating actual, really, they were like paintings on this craft paper. And then it just became a hit, and our school started getting known for it. And that
Wow.
was
Who
just
took
kind
over
of
after you left?
nobody. They just got better materials. They got
Oh,
better markers and stuff like that.
yeah, but they didn't have you, so it was probably lame.
Yeah, we had a little crew, man. We were known for it. And that was that. I think that kind of showed me what art can do. Like at first, people were like, oh, that's stupid. We're just going to run through the sign. No one cares. And then after a while, when they started talking about it, they were like looking, and our school was really good anyway. So the high school team, it wasn't just about the football team anymore. It was about kind of like this whole experience. Basically, when St. Martin comes, we know they're going to have those signs. We know they're going to have a football team that's great. So I started kind of seeing what art can do, I guess, is what very young.
Is anything more important than high school football in the South?
Nothing except high school softball.
Wait,
and
that's just because you.
baseball.
That's just because you played high school softball.
Yeah, girls playing softball in the South is a big deal.
Yeah, high
Okay.
school football
The
is
closest we
crazy.
can get to baseball.
Yeah.
Charity, what about you?
As far as my first experiences with art,
Yeah.
is that a question? Okay, cool. Um, my first experience was honestly books given to me by my father. He gave me the Basquiat and Maya Angelou book, and even then, it just moved me, and it's something that I still remember. Then I used to steal like the Tupac book, "The Rose That Grew from Concrete," out of his room, and that's still something that still moves me till today. So it's really like literature and just seeing those images that have really like sort of left a lasting impression and were my first like introductions into art.
Gotcha. So Monica, um,
I like
since we know where you
that's
started, what has been your pathway to art?
um
Like what's led you to where right now you just did a huge mural in Mechanicsville on Windsor Street, right
mhm.
by the intersection of Fulton Avenue on the it's a convenience store and a little there's a laundry mat there if anybody's familiar with Mechanicsville. It's directly across the street from the Bernie Community Center. Um what led you and opened the door to that? I think is going to be a question later, but like what got you to this point? Like, cause people doodle and they never become artists, but you actually became an artist. You actually took something and carried it forward, and it's gone through your various evolutions as a human being. So,
I would definitely say college. I come from, even though I came from Biloxi, it's a small town. And there's not a lot of people of color when I was growing up that I could look at and say, ooh, that's what I want to do, or that's what I want to be. So, college definitely, but even when I came to Spelman as a pre-law major. So I came ready to debate. I came high honors, all the, other accolades and all that good stuff. But I was surrounded by women that were just like me. So I wasn't anything special. I had to stand out and decide what I wanted to be. That could be unique. What could I contribute to the world? I've always been creative. I've always been an artist, but I didn't have a person to look at to say, ooh, look at her. I can be that. You know what I mean? When it came to art. So in college, it was mostly men that I looked up to and saw what they could do with their work. And when I saw they were making money with it, I changed my major. I didn't even know if I could. I just knew that there was an option. Whereas before, I never saw an option. It was
who were those?
doctor, lawyer, whatever you check mark of what you want to be. It wasn't artist.
Who are those artists? Those influential artists for you?
Um, okay, now you're about to show my age, but I was around when Ernie Barnes was still alive and Carl Owens. Carl Owens was an illustrator who was one of the first Black men, I believe, on Ebony or Jet magazine. Annie Lee, who did the infamous painting Blue Monday, which is a powerful piece. Varnett Honeywood was my Spelman sister, an older artist who also did kind of abstract shaped figures like I do. Um, but Maurice Evans probably was one of the bigger people at the time because I could relate to him. He was new, he was young, he was fresh, and he had this kind of attitude about art that he was going to do it the way he wanted. And I met him at Funk Jazz. If you remember Funk Jazz Cafe,
Mr. Jason Orr. I talked to
Jason
him this
or
week.
so Jason kind of created more than what he was doing, what he felt was great connecting creatives. But for a creative, especially someone like me, I had never seen that many people in one room that were creative and that were so incredibly talented. Like it wasn't like one artist was the artist. Every single person in that room was dynamic in some way that you were so inspired, and I just said, you know what? I'm no longer a pre-law major. I'm an art major. I'm going all in. I'm going to surround myself with these people. I'm going to learn. I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to learn. I'm just going to, absorb myself. And that's what I did.
What about you, Charity?
When I made art a profession, I was 15, and I actually started tattooing at 15. So I think tattooing was definitely like my gateway into other art forms, and really like claiming it as being my source of income, my life, my everything. And it erased like that stigma of the starving artist for me. I was, learning how to thrive within my art. And it also just really helped me go into so many different avenues. From there, I really took painting seriously, or I started getting into graphic arts, and it opened so many doors to me. It led me down here to Atlanta, and it was just like an awesome journey from there. So I haven't known anything else. I've worked other jobs, but art
Right.
has always been a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tattoos.
Hmm.
Tattoos, I think over the years I've seen them become increasingly expressive
Mhm.
Yeah.
and increasingly artistic.
Yeah.
I think growing up, my dad was a prison warden. I grew up in a blue collar town, Lansing, Michigan. So people had tattoos. A lot of roughnecks, a lot of old school bikers that were hardcore had tattoos, but they're usually like a word. And I always thought it was like a characterization of a person to get a tattoo. Like you get a tattoo, you're saying you're this or you're saying you're that.
Mhm.
And as a tattoo artist, and as you have these conversations with people, why do you think people get tattoos? Like, is it and as what are the various reasons, the personal expressions to make something a permanent part of yourself?
Oh yeah,
Where do you think a
definitely.
lot
I
of
mean,
that comes from?
just come from us like fully embracing ourselves. I think that's what it's just always been. It could be used so much for like healing. People are healing from traumatic experiences or just things they want to claim within their life.
Mhm.
Claiming and owning your identity as far as who you are, whether it be at that point in time or who you want to be for, your future self. I see that a lot within pieces, and it's a beautiful thing. People stereotyped it to like the bad guys, or you had to be a biker, stuff like
Right.
that. It it's always been so much bigger than that for so long. I think that's just like what people have stuck around because that's like American tattooing, but tattooing has been in our history since the beginning of time. So
Yes,
Mhm.
as human beings, yes, tattoos have
Yeah.
across the planet been a part of various cultures.
yeah.
Um, when you create art, sometimes the art that you create, people believe that you put a piece of your soul into each piece of art. I don't know if you saw the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. It was a scary movie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It was about an artist who put his blood in the paint and got out of control. But anyway, um, do you feel like you put a piece of yourself in all those things, and then now people are carrying a piece of you with them?
No,
Did you
Yeah.
give me a one word answer? Did you say yes? Did she disappear
no,
again?
your phone was
There she goes.
weird things. Can
There
you
she
hear me
goes.
now?
I can hear you just
Yeah.
fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Oh, okay. I couldn't hear you guys. It was going in and out, doing
Okay,
crazy
it's all
stuff.
good. As and it as in terms of the context of you making art and tattooing, people or some people believe that you have or you put a piece of yourself in each piece of art that you create. And when you make a tattoo and that's art, that person now has a piece of you embedded in them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How does that feel? Do you believe that's true? And what effect do you think that has on people?
I 100% believe that's true. Especially like with tattooing, we're sharing energy. Like we're super close with our bodies. We're touching one another. We're creating this piece together. That's like is super powerful within itself. So I 100% believe in that. And um, just as much as I feel like I'm giving them a piece of my creation, they're giving me something too. I've learned so much from my clients, and left with just like an amazing experience that I'm going to hold on for forever, honestly.
Yeah. It's priceless.
Yeah.
Charity, how did you become a muralist? How did you leap from skin to walls?
I love it.
Uh, uh, I saw so many people doing it. And I was like, that is awesome. I'm just gonna try it. And so
Yeah.
I just started going out into Krog Street, trying to get my confidence up with it, and then just you know, I've been really lucky to have people just ask me like, "Hey, you want to do a mural? I see you paint," and it just sort of grew from there. And this year is like the actual year that I sort of took a step away from tattooing. I'm not tattooing no more, and really just trying to proclaim myself as like a muralist and a painter.
Yeah, I got a piece of art. It's kind of become a thing in Atlanta. Is really blossoming as an artist community. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys have paid attention. Those of you who are listening or will listen, um, they like have found art in Atlanta, like where people put art in places and then people find it and then they take it home with them. And then when some of you artists do events, you actually bring art with you and you're like, well, here's a piece. And I
Right.
mean, I think you should think about it in the context, sometimes like, what if you were hanging out in New York and it's 1978 and you went to a party and you had a Basquiat?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude was just like, yo, here's a sketch. Like, what
Yeah.
would that be worth now? Or, how far ahead of the game would you be? Because, I'm from the tradition of hip hop and you want to find music first and you want to find sounds first. And that's a huge thing. And it's really cool that you were giving out art at the actual event when they unveiled your mural. Monica, how did you start doing murals?
I started again in college. I hate to be the academic, but college, I was in this teaching program, and I begged for an art class. If I was going to do this kind of mentorship program, I really wanted to do an art class, and they gave me one. It was in the West End, and after that experience, it was so great. And I wasn't in education, I wasn't in school for education, so my style of teaching the students was more of just how I was and my personality, so they loved it so much they asked me if I would do a mural with the kids. So that was about 24 years ago. That was my first mural, was at that school, and it was impactful for me because I had been in that school and I knew the school, I knew the kids, I knew the demographic, I knew their stories, I knew it was extremely a poverty stricken area. So the kids, that might be the highlight of their day, and they may not have anyone to go home to tell about it, So that left a mark with me. It left a mark with me, and I never forgot it. And I actually started murals in schools first.
Interesting. What do you think the purpose of art is? You can go first, Monica, since we just heard from you. We'll ping pong back to Charity.
um, Art for me is so many things, but I definitely feel that art is for me like an instrument. Just like my grandfather was a musician, and music was everything. His bass guitar was everything. It is an instrument that I can use or other creatives can use to tell a story. That story can be nonverbal. I mean, there are a lot of artists you will never meet. You will only see their work. And being in social settings and things like that is scary for them. And sometimes I used to think that that was odd, but now I get it, because as you get older, you get more connected to your subjects. You get more connected to what you're trying to say, whatever your message is as an individual artist. And I think sometimes that's overwhelming enough. So it's like birthing a baby. You're trying to get it out, and then you're trying to process it, and then you're also learning, because a lot of really incredible artists, they do their research. They know what they're doing before they start painting something that's going to leave, like you said earlier, a mark. If I'm going to do a political piece, I need to know the environment. I need to know what's going on around me. I need to know, Cherry and I talked a lot about this with this new mural. What is the community like? They were very vocal in the beginning about not wanting certain things. um, and we had to kind of give them a visual look of, You may not want it, but let us finish and let us show you how we can inspire you to have something a little different than what you're used to. So art is powerful, good, bad, and ugly, but you have to be able to, you don't have a company without art. You don't have a logo is art. We don't know Nike without the swoosh. We don't know Jordan. Well, we do know Jordan. But, some things without the swoosh, it's just a shoe. So without art, you really need us. We're everywhere, whether it's a painting or a logo or tattoos, um, billboards. How do you know what food you're eating sometimes without the logo? So, those things, I've never been kind of absent minded to understanding all of those things have power.
The shape, the color, the
Yes,
mixture thereof, the
absolutely.
symbols, everything, the texture.
Grocery stores, like, and just knowing that if I couldn't speak, if I couldn't, and I think this is very, very real for creative people. We are connected to kind of like this in between space in the world where we are connected to people that are unlike ourselves, and we speak to those spaces. So if I wasn't able to talk, if I wasn't able to see, I know these different things because of the creative aspect of it.
Right. Can you imagine and you spoke about those two things, like unable to communicate, unable to talk, unable to see, and then you think about Keller, who for a good portion of life was well, her entire life unable to do either.
And
And that's
braille is art. Someone took a utensil and poked those holes into that paper. Someone made the paper. Like all of that is art.
our entire civilization is based on or is documented starting with
Yes.
cuneiforms and etches on walls and stories, we were chasing this thing with a stick, then we all poked it with the stick, then we
Yeah,
cooked it.
absolutely.
Right.
PS, you're still doing the same thing.
Exactly. We are. We're
Yeah.
just doing it in different ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What about you, Charity?
Same thing. Definitely,
Mhm.
art is
Yeah.
powerful. Bridge. It connects not only people, experiences, um, ideas. It's just a powerful thing that really makes the world go round. Honestly, because
Mhm.
everything is art, from like design to
Yes.
how you plant. I all believe that's like an art form,
Mhm.
that is something that really shapes this world. If we didn't have art or expression or anything like that, what would this world be? Literally, it would be nothing.
About other countries, that's what they take from them first. They take their visual representations, they take their posters, they take TV, they take things from them that will individualize them because they know how powerful it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you guys work together a lot? I mean, when I met you, you were working together. Is this new? Is this something you guys have been doing for years? How did you guys start working together, and how did you work together on this project?
Monica and I have been working on and off together for like many years. I don't even know
Yeah,
when,
I know.
uh, how long. Um, randomly through projects. I've worked on Monica's food truck. We come together
Yes.
and like it's just so many different avenues. We were introduced to each other through another friend of ours, and just sort of blossomed, from there. And definitely, we even spoke on this project how we would love to do more work with each other.
Yeah.
So like the Mechanicsville project. I worked with the Urban Advocate, and I of course wanted to have Monica on this project because she's an amazing artist. So
Aw. We have great energy together from the start, like as friends, as fellow creatives. We pick each other's brains really well, which in as a creative person, can birth some really dope stuff. We definitely support one another on each other's individual projects, and we give each other I know I'm extremely inspired by Charity, and she has spoken of me in the same way. And I think together we're pretty powerful little duet there when it comes to the paint and the wall. Okay.
When the twin powers activate. Um. So, um, the Urban Advocate. Tell me a little bit about that organization. I spoke briefly to the lady, but it was really she was far too engaged in what was going on to get any information. Tell me about that organization and how and why they put this mural together.
So the organization, the Urban Advocate, she does a lot of community work over within the Mechanicsville area specifically,
Mm.
and she deals a lot with gun trauma and violence, and she works with a lot of people there to get their opinions upon things, to advocate for them, and just to help create a more healthier space, whether it's through healing. Through different activations, or through canvassing. So she's just, Demisha is the organizer. She's a very powerful woman over there. And I really love the work that she's done. And so for this mural that we made, she wanted to revision that space. It's heavy traffic for gun violence, drug activity, a lot of different things over there. It's always just had sort of a negative feeling towards it as far as that store for a long time. And she wanted to just see something new, bright in the community, have something that was empowering, uplifting, and wanted not only people to just see the mural, but see themselves within the mural and see something bigger for their future and what's in store for Mechanicsville.
Awesome. Monica, any commentary on the whole process of getting together with them to do that mural?
It was incredible for me when Charity called me for this project. Like we've said, we've talked about many other things and worked on some things in the past, and we've kind of worked on them, done the work, and kind of passed along. But this one was a little different. And I used to live at 502 Prior Street when Turner Field was still there, and when you look, I'm talking 20 something years, not much has changed. And so you get to a point where you feel like you drive through there. Everybody drives through there. You go through there to get to Somerville. You go through there to get to the Georgia State, and you wonder all the time what's happening over there. Why, when they build something, is there nothing else flourishing? What's happening? Does anyone care? What can be done? And I think that this is the first time we saw something that might have seemed small to other people, but the stories that me and Charity heard, I mean, some days had us in tears. Some days we had to take a break, just kind of, because that mural meant more to them than just paint on the wall. Some people in the beginning were very upset. They felt like it was a sign of gentrification. They felt like once you do that, that's a sign that they're gonna take our homes away. And we were, kind of confused because we're like, we look like y'all, we're here in peace. But the more you listen, the more you get context, the more you understand, the more you're on the ground, you kind of get to see people's movements. And because we were there every day, we were seeing how they exist in their community. And I think that just to give you one quick thing that will never leave me, a young woman, she was crying to us at the unveiling, and she said, now my babies have a landmark to be safe, and if they're ever afraid, they can say, mommy, we're by the mural, mommy. And she said that gives me hope. It gives me strength because I know my babies, I know where to go get them. Now this is not something, that's not the first thing I think about. I'm a mother, you know what I mean? But for her, you just gave me a lifeline for my children to survive if in moments that we live with every day. It was powerful. So,
So
yeah.
sorry. Can you break down the mural and what the elements are in it? I mean, it's a very layered and complex piece. There's multiple faces there. There's multiple colors, symbols, and shapes, and you guys put a lot into it in terms of symbolism and meaning. Um, is there a way that you guys could kind of break down not just the content, but also the intention?
Oh yeah, definitely. So, I mean, intentionally behind the piece, we really wanted to empower the community. Um, when I often do community murals, I really love to use people that actually live within the community. So that was a huge part of it. It's not just only bringing my art within there, but it was more just focusing on them and uplifting them in that present day moment. Like
Right.
me personally, I don't really even like to focus on historical figures because that's a past thing. It was amazing what they did, but we are in the now, and I really like to uplift the people of the current moment. So those pictures came from photographs we actually took during Fun Day. It's an event that they have every summer within Mechanicsville for the children. And so we took those pictures, and I brought the pictures that I chose to use as the characters within there were people that actually lived over in there, and they gave me the most emotion throughout their photographs, and I really loved them. So from there, we took the portraits, and we have color behind there. We wanted to bring vibrancy and light to that area because the walls there before they were very dark. They
Yeah.
were not. So we wanted to bring more light into that space, and then we wrote powerful words within there. So we have connected, respected, and empowered, which is something that the community anywhere I think really wants to feel, but especially within Mechanicsville. Because they are a great community. They really stick together, and they're really beautiful people. And on the floor, we have Guns Down Mechanicsville, because that is a mission for the Urban Advocate. She's been doing that mission, I think, for like the past 2-3 years, maybe even longer than that. And we want to just remind people there what they're living for. Like, you guys have families over here. You have people who have been there for generations.
Yeah.
Kids, you have that school across the street. There's so much more to live for than to let gun violence continue to take over this neighborhood. So
Yeah.
that was really like the push and the intention behind it. Just a reminder.
Yep.
Monica, any thoughts?
I just, like I said, grown living over there, and then now when I drive by, like I drove by just the other day,
Mm-hmm.
you can see it. It's so bright. It's so impactful. Those stories will never leave me. Meeting them and watching their little habits and listening to their laughter and listening to their little arguments and just normal life, like just those things. But now that mural is something that they can look at and they know who they are. They know who. There was a little baby in the picture that they were showing pictures. They was like, that's you. And she just kind of looked. But then after a while, she had her little flower that Charity gave her, and she knew it was her after a while, and she started walking a little different, and it was just, anytime you could see something like that with your work, like, we were able to do that without by just being us, by just being creative. You know what I mean? By just
And just
caring.
changing the whole context. Yeah, changing the whole context of somebody's experience in an area just
In
by
addition to
putting them.
hiring us to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And I mean, people shared that have lived over there for a long time. Mechanicsville only had like one other mural that they've known of or remembered before, and that was the, the Atlantic childhood
Murders
ugh.
murders. Yeah.
and a child
So
murders.
that's a touchy subject, and that's very dreary. It has a cloud over it, basically. So to have another piece that has the total opposite intentions,
Yep.
more to lift and inspire and empower them, that was huge for them because they haven't seen that in their living space for forever, you know.
Decades, if not ever. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Decades. Yeah, decades. I was a child living here during that time. So decades.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can remember just, years and years and years ago, people sending their kids up north so they could,
Yeah.
so they would be safe. Like, you couldn't
Wow.
be safe here
Mhm.
in Atlanta. So you'd send your kids to your cousins, or you send your kids to your,
Yep.
brother and sister, or somebody that, you could fit, you knew that they wouldn't be here. So the likelihood of
Yep.
something
That's
horrible
exactly.
happening to them, was less likely. That's just a scary time, in Atlanta history and in Black history, honestly. Um, so I think, you made it real clear how art can affect the community. It can actually give people kind of hope or an image for themselves to look at, that's something other than what happens, that's under someone else's control, or things that are negative that happen in an area because of,
Right.
economic plight, and because of the way an area is set up. I mean, Mechanicsville and Summer Hill at one point in time were a contiguous neighborhood before they were divided by, the freeway. They were
Yeah.
actually connected. You know, uh, this was actually, Mechanicsville was actually an area where Norfolk Southern's main yard for all their servicing of their trains was straight down Windsor Street, and you run right
Hmm.
into the old Norfolk Southern yard. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting statement of exactly, I put it in the background, a picture of it. I'm trying to figure out a way to make sure that people can actually see the mural.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it's an amazing piece. Um, so it's, there's so much history in this area, and there's so much change going on, and there's so much change that doesn't include the people in the neighborhood, which
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
which is a scary thing, when your
Yeah.
whole neighborhood's changing, and as it changes, you don't really have a part in that change. That's
Right.
super scary, that at any point in time, somebody just,
Pops up.
pops up and then put a flag outside their house,
Yeah, and it's
and they're
over.
like, "Hi, how are you doing?" And you're like, "Who are you?
Mhm.
What are you doing
Right.
over here?" You know, it's crazy. But the whole rent and real estate market in Atlanta is changing rapidly, and there may be a time in our near future where people just, you sell your house, somebody comes and offers you $250,000 for your house, you won't be able to get another house anywhere near what you had.
So you gotta keep it.
Um, so you have to keep it. You have to
Mhm.
keep that. That's wealth that you can't reacquire. Um, what do you guys think about graffiti? Atlanta's
I love
becoming an amazing graffiti town.
I love those graffiti cats, man. They are something else. Like you can always, well, not always, but like there's two sides of graffiti. There's like beef, there's graffiti beef, you know what I mean? When they're like they might tag a bunch of like ghosts on you or something or on somebody else's work, and then somebody will do it again, and that they're like actually having a conversation between each other, or there's like hidden message graffiti artists where they really are telling a story about their neighborhood or their community, that it's kind of like hieroglyphics almost, I guess, like where you really kind of have to dig a little deeper to know what their symbols and stuff mean and know who they are. They don't always put their names. um and then there's, of course, there's the bad graffiti cats that they're just tagging just to be, start stuff or whatever, but
Spit.
um they're just starting trouble. But you'll be surprised how many really incredible graphic designers, visual artists started as graffiti artists, Basquiat included, that were trying to get a story told, and they weren't being accepted in these kind of gallery norms or social circles of these art circles and things. So they took to the streets, and they took their cans, and they're letting their voices get heard, and some of them are really incredible.
Absolutely. Charity.
uh I love them all. I think graffiti is, I love how they really push the boundaries. They don't care at all. There's no limits to where, how high they're gonna go, who they're gonna cover.
Yes.
Um, and I'm all here for it. Like I really I love that, and I love that they just speak their mind all the time through their art. They don't let money get in the way. Um, People's opinions, even their own personal ego, even though I do think it like lives there. But especially, well, now you might know a little bit more about graffiti writers. Maybe they'll post on Instagram, but still I think they hide their identity, and they let their work truly speak for itself. And that's a beautiful thing, because I feel like so many times in art or anything that we do, we have to like sell ourselves as a personal being and identity, and to live without that and just let the creation speak for itself is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
They're like night ninjas too. Like sometimes I wonder,
Yeah.
how did you get to that spot on that bridge? Like I
Right.
literally I pulled over like just the other day actually. I pulled over because I'm just looking, and of course me and Charity just got off this big wall. So I'm like, okay, I got a lift, blah blah blah. They don't have this equipment. Like they do this stuff at night and it'll be up in the morning or whatever. But I'm like, when do y'all come out? I used to be out at night. I used to kick it. Like it's like you never see them. And then how did you get to that spot on the bridge? Like, did you dangle off the side, spray your name, and then get your boy to like leverage you back up? Like they're ninjas. I'm convinced. I'm convinced.
Yeah, it's not just the art, it's the entire process of
Yes,
of
like
getting it
seriously,
down.
we know what it takes. We know what it takes. And they're not renting, construction equipment in the middle of the night. They're
Right.
not.
Yeah, there
They're
was
not. You know what I
no.
mean? So how'd you get up there?
It's insane. And there is a I'm trying to see if I have her book up here and maybe down in my office. There's a famous photographer, a lady from New York that photographed like Futura 2000 and Tycho and all these guys like back in the day. And she happened to be in Berlin when I was in Berlin one time, and I was like, man, I'm buying her book. I'm buying any of her photographs that she has. It's just, living that life, especially in the 70s, especially as a woman going out and photographing these dudes and running around with them and capturing their art out in the street and recognizing it for what it was that early is visionary.
Yeah.
I just thought that was, super cool. But I've even noticed the little face. How you guys seen the little
Oh,
kind of primitive faces everywhere?
they're killing
Yeah.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I was
That's
saying a little ghost stamp, man. They be like, bow. And they just
no,
watch
you
you.
know, it don't it's you don't even know how it got there. It just pops up one day. And
Yeah.
so you have to be that fast to do it. It's just amazing.
They letting you
Um
know there though, and it's coming. The floodgates of creativity are coming. Once you start to see them, you'll start seeing them everywhere.
right, right. As soon as you see that piece come out or you see their
Yeah,
tag come out, you know that you're going to see something
that
else.
tag. Yep, it's like an all call, like the Thundercats.
um what murals or muralists locally or otherwise are you guys inspired by besides yourselves?
That's a
um
tough
and,
one.
and uh I like Flux. He's dope. Peter Ferrari. Um, Let me keep going. Erica Chisholm.
George
Uh,
Baker.
yeah, yeah, George. There's like there's
There's
so
so
many people
many.
of amazing artists. Molly Rose Freeman. Like anybody who expresses their creativity out there and is willing to put themselves out there and create these murals, like we know the work that it takes to put into them, and so to see anybody else do it is it's just amazing. Like I love everything that everybody creates here, and Atlanta is just flooded with amazing artists and muralists, so it's beautiful to see everything that they bring out.
Monica?
I'm the same. There's just so many. There are so many because um I think for me the bigger thing that I love is that artists are now coming off their pads and their sketchbooks and they're coming out and they're challenging themselves on these walls, because it is not easy to take something that you put on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and put onto, how big was that wall, Charity? 10,000 square feet?
Um, don't let me lie to you. I think it was, no, I think it was like 2,000 square feet
2000,
altogether.
2,000 square feet. And I mean, some people are
Mm-hmm.
getting walls bigger than that. And when you're talking about scale and you're talking about being on machinery and trying to sketch that out, plot that out, that isn't just somebody doodling with a marker. We're talking
Mm.
about architecture, we're talking about design, we're talking about intelligence. We're talking about some pretty cool people who, the things that they don't know, we collaborate with each other to learn different skills to get that image on the wall. And for me, I remember when, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the stacks and squares boxes that are behind the cotton mill in Cabbagetown.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yeah.
when Fulton Cotton Mill was built, I was one of the first artists to move in there, and I got to
Wow.
paint a mural on those same squares. I'm literally, that first year, I think it was like 1999 or 98. Um, and I remember back then saying, wow, this is a perfect, like, just space for art to be seen. And they were just letting us do it based. We actually did children's coloring book drawings in those boxes. And now, fast forward to now, 2022, and they've been doing this for several years. Stacks and Squares does, they curate those walls, and then when you bend that corner, it's just like walking into this giant art museum of muralists.
It's a
And for me,
gallery.
yeah, for me, that's big, because we, no one was doing that then. Well, I remember when we did those pieces, how people were like, oh my God, this is amazing. But no one would let you do it. So now people are hiring artists to do it. Artists are challenging themselves to create in these spaces that aren't necessarily their comfort zone. Like I told you, trust me, there's a lot of creative people that like to create and just put it out there for you. I don't need to meet you. I don't need to do none of that. I just want you to see the work. And now
Mm.
you got artists out there standing next to their walls and challenging themselves. Their first wall may be small, and then that third, fourth, fifth wall is like 10 times the size. That inspires me all the time as an artist.
So, what do you guys feel about the public space uh, galleries? Me, there's some galleries here in Atlanta, but I mean, Atlanta is becoming a gallery. There's many public spaces where art exists, not just, there's a lot of locomotives. Like if you stand over by the main artery rail line that goes down through Southwest Atlanta, every,
Mm-hmm.
every hour you're going to see, 40, 50, 60 burners coming from all over the world and all over the country on these rail cars,
Yeah.
storage containers. It's amazing. Like you said, the stacks and squares. Uh, for what it's worth, I think you would probably include the Croc Street Bridge as as
Yeah,
kind of
that's what I
its own
mean.
gallery. Yeah,
Yeah, I would definitely include that.
the Metro.
Yeah.
Does that still exist? Where it basically was a building foundation downtown, and people were putting pieces up around that for a long time. I think it may be somebody may have built something on there now, but now there's another space headed
Years
south
ago,
that's
the
kind of similar to
underground
that.
too.
The what's that now?
Years ago, the underground was a huge space for artists to gather, like during the, not just the National Black Arts Festival, but they used to use underground Atlanta as a space for us to display work. So now to see murals down there, three-dimensional work down there, that's again another kind of aha moment for me, to see that the work is now coming from inside outside. And I've had three art galleries of my own in Atlanta, and I just remember it's important to have the spaces for people to be able to come in and see it on the white walls and see it and interpret it and discuss and talk. But it's also just as important for the people who know nothing about the artist world to drive by and see it on the way to the grocery store or coming home with their children and still be impacted by what we want you to see, which is the work. So
Right.
for me, they both they need to always coexist for me.
Right. Charity.
Uh, I'm open. I mean, I don't think I really know much about gallery space besides, you know, smaller shows and things like that. So I'm always gonna go for the public galleries. I love that. I love it out. Even public galleries on your body. I walk
Yeah.
around with my every day.
Right.
I'm for the alternative displays of art and just people expressing themselves in every way. I think galleries, I love them, but I do think they cater to certain crowds and only invite certain peoples. And
Yeah.
I believe that a public space allows more opportunity for anybody to really shine and showcase themselves and express themselves and voice their opinions. So I love the public space art.
I'm so glad you said that, because that is the only reason that I got an art gallery. My very first one was because I was tired of um, not necessarily not being chosen to be in these gallery spaces, but I just always had the question in my mind, what makes this person better than that person? It wasn't even about me. It was more so about the fact that I knew so many other artists that they would have not known and not care to know, because if they didn't walk through the door, or if so and so didn't tell them about that artist, or this wasn't someone that they just wanted to give exposure to, which they do have that power, then that artist would never be known. And for me, I felt like to be honest, I had 3 art galleries and I've probably only done 2 or 3 shows in them with my own work, because once I saw how many other artists were just, they would do anything just to show their work for an hour in a space, let alone a day or a month that I was giving them with their name on the wall and things like that. And then I felt like my calling was different. Like, I'll use this space to show them how to be business owners of their work, and give you the exposure that you're looking for. And when I want to show my art, I show my art. I've had shows where it's 3 or 4 people and where it's 300, 400, 500 people. But again, the power of it was in my own hands, and someone else has that power. That's kind of scary, because they may or may not expose someone who deserves to be exposed.
Yeah.
So, in that regard, I'm more excited about artists opening spaces, people who understand what it's like to live off your work and to be extremely creative, but maybe you don't know how to write your own artist bio or artist statement and you just need help. And that's the only reason that other gallery didn't pick you. You know what I mean? Or because you didn't know so and so or so and so.
Right.
I wanted to take that away by just letting creatives create. You got work, you got a name that, tell me how to spell it. Let's get your name on this wall. You do the artwork. You do the art walk next week. It's gonna be 300 people walking through here in Castleberry, because my first space was in Castleberry, so it was a lot of foot traffic. I wanted them to be seen. I already am there. Like, let's go.
Right.
You just got to be ready to paint, because they
Shout out
don't want to.
to Ramadan. My man says, great. He is enjoying the conversation. So shout out and thank you to both of you ladies. Arts for Unity is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to mentoring and educating underserved communities through the arts. So I guess that's another organization that's trying to
Ew.
expose people to the arts and build spaces or curate spaces and opportunities for people. Like you're saying, Monica, you got to give people the opportunity without having the framework and the bureaucracy between them and the consumer.
The
Like the
art.
record labels. If an A&R
Exactly.
doesn't feel you, then you're not going to get a deal. Nobody will ever know who your music is, or who you are, or what your music is, or have any idea about you. Versus if you go out and you promote yourself and you sell yourself and you use these public spaces and all the resources we have now, social media, you know, you
Yeah.
find and build your own opportunities. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so Charity, did you get to speak on your, I know you said you're there for it. Like, you know, I mean, I guess the public spaces are your preference.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do appreciate galleries too, but I'm totally not really into that world, so I can't really speak on something I'm not a part of. So I do love public spaces. Now there are some great galleries here that I do appreciate, but I feel like they have been curated and made by artists. Whether they're actual brick and mortars or their pop-up events. They do have artists like Articulate ATF, um, City of Ink. I think it's done a lot for in my era, like just young Black creatives, just bringing us by. Peter Street Station, Mint Gallery. There's a lot of pop-up galleries, and I just really appreciate what they've done because I think it's open for more people from different avenues that may
Right.
not have the huge clout behind them, providing opportunity and spaces for them to really showcase their creativity and their artwork. So I think those are beautiful too.
Yeah.
Art is activism, and artists as activists, and the responsibility or lack thereof of an artist to be an activist. Um, how do you guys feel that art is activism, and how do you feel the artist has a responsibility to either have a social message or some context to what they're doing that speaks to the environment that they live in?
Me and Charity talked a lot about this actually on this project, and I'll definitely say that artists, we really are the storytellers. We're the historians. We are the patchwork quilts that tell you what's happening during our time. And if you look at anything in history, there's something that signals what was happening during that time. The Black Panther movement. You remember those posters. You remember the "I Am a Man" posters. This isn't just clout and something that now somebody can slap on a t-shirt, but if you dig into the history of it, those were the things that helped people get from point A to point B, the Green Book and things like that. So um artists are way more on the pulse and in them streets, as the kids say, of understanding what exactly is going on. Now, do we always know what we want to do? Because we get angry too, and how we're gonna use our creativity, our power, so to speak. Not always, but sometimes. Gathering our thoughts, our creativity together, we'll come up with something impactful. Sometimes we just go out there and get mad and just get it out there, get the message out there. But activism with artistic expression is number one in my book. It's everywhere.
Charity?
I definitely think art and activism does go hand in hand. I think it is a powerful tool that creates visuals and captivates people, moves them, helps push movements. I do believe it's powerful, um, but I do think that there are artists who don't do that, and they're just as powerful. They might speak and have voices in different ways, and
Absolutely.
they're might not be so straight on to the point and to the topic, but I still think that their art is definitely needed to bring lightness to the space. Sometimes I don't really talk on political issues or things that are going on in the current time, but I think that I still try to empower and uplift people in certain ways, whether it be through portraits or sayings or some abstract art. So I
Yeah.
think it doesn't always have to be onto that, everybody has their lanes and different people have their voices and want to use their voices in different ways. So
Right. And you know, as you exist as artists, I mean, sometimes just your presence or the ideas you put out affect other people.
Yeah.
Would
yeah.
you say you guys have bumped into? Do you have any interesting stories of people you've bumped into that your art has had an effect you had not anticipated, and you had a conversation with them that was either revealing or in some way revelatory, or it was something that you just were shocked by?
Um, I have a quick story of just when I was bartending and I was working for Sean Combs for Puffy, and they started letting me put my art in the restaurant. And I remember the line cooks, the Latino line cooks, one day looking at one of my pieces, and they were talking to each other, and they spoke English, but they weren't talking in English that day. And I walked up and I was like, you know, what y'all talking about? Do y'all like the painting or whatever? And they were just like, it's amazing, Monica. And they were just telling me these stories about the colors that I used and what that meant to them, like what they were used to seeing in their country. And for me, you know, like I said, my family's military. I have a very diverse background of friends and everything. But something about that moment, I realized my art isn't, because at that time everybody's like, oh, you're a black artist, you need to paint black imagery, you need to paint this. And it just used to jam me up creatively. Like, I'm like, I know I'm black, I went to all black school and da 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 da, but that's not really what I wanted to paint, because I was from Mississippi and I saw all these sad things all the time and I didn't want to paint that. I just didn't. That wasn't what I wanted to do. And everybody wanted me to do that. And when I saw them looking at a piece that I had done that was just a, you know, I call say charity all the time, that charity pieces or those charity colors. It was all Monica. Like, it was, I was in the zone that day when I created that piece. And for them to understand it and for them to be impacted by it, I realized, okay, Monica, you're not just doing art. Like, your art, you don't know who is going to see it. You don't know whose life it's going to change. You don't know. So it changed how I painted. Now, I didn't change me. I just changed the idea that I had to be more intentional. You know what I mean? And understand that once that painting leaves my studio, that it could touch someone's life in that way. And I never forgot that moment. I never forgot. I mean, they were hugging me and everything. I was, it was crazy.
That's
It's
beautiful.
COVID times, Monica. 6 feet, 6 feet, hugs, 6 feet.
This was years ago.
I'm just kidding.
No key.
Charity.
Just, yeah, knowing your power. I guess that's the summary, is knowing your power.
Um,
Charity, any interesting experiences? Anything that, you know, or people that you've affected and you've been surprised at the effect that you had?
I'm not surprised when it comes to art. So I believe it connects everybody. And like, I'm just going back to the tattooing on the daily, I've been just told, you know, how much that art has changed their lives. And is because really they are like owning themselves. They found something within those pieces, whether it be artwork or a piece of body art, is something that drew that connection to them and that art and kept them going. And that was, you know, always powerful. Clients on the daily, just how it just totally shifted their lives. From paintings, I had a painting in one of the articulate shows, and it was called The Recipe, and it just basically had a recipe for just like owning your happiness. And it had an image of these collard greens growing out of this man's head, and this woman never met her. She just came up to me and she was just sharing her story of how she was just having a really bad year, and she saw this recipe and it just reminded her and brought her joy and hope, and for her to just keep going. So those experiences, I'm fortunate to hear them all the time when I create art. And I think that's a lot to do why we hear those things is really because of the intentions that we put behind our art and the power that we speak through our colors, through our palettes, through our imagery, and we evoke those feelings art intentionally.
Yeah.
Okay, Black women have always been instrumental, both as leaders and organizers in the Black community. Whether you're talking about Sojourner Truth or Harriet Tubman or Angela Davis or Michelle Obama, there's always some influence in a lot of the positivity that we have in our society, socially, politically, and otherwise, comes from that. Do you feel a responsibility in that way? And how does that make you even more of an activist in terms of the execution of your art?
That's a loaded question. So for me, I didn't think it was something that I had to delve into. I was more of the non-political artist when I was younger. So I felt like that wasn't my lane. And so I was using myself more as someone who was looking at people that did it so effectively and so creatively that was something that I was always learning from those types of artists, right? Like but now it's just different. Like when you get older and different and things change and you have different conversations and experiences with people, you start looking at yourself different. Now, will I be painting well, I'll say this. What is politics? Is politics that I have to paint imagery of people with power fists? Or is it that I'm painting impactful and strength words that empower women or children or people in general? Like, so politics can be so many different things, and I only had it as one look in my mind. And now I feel, after meeting some incredible activists. Evelyn Lowry actually impacted my life majorly, Dr. Lowry's wife. And then just being in a city where Coretta Scott King lived, and knowing that these women's lives were loaded. Like, they were mothers, they were activists, they went to jail yesterday and they still got the cake and the birthday cake ready for their child, and they doing the sermons on Sundays with their husbands, and they're making posters, and they're galvanizing, they're getting neighborhoods together, and you start to feel like you're not doing enough. You know what I mean? So I really started to kind of think about, Monica, what do you want your legacy to be? Who do you want to be? How do you want to use your gift to expand your territory or to affect somebody's life? So I feel like, I don't necessarily have to be Coretta Scott King, but I need to be a baby Coretta. I need to be somebody who cares. I need to be somebody who uses my gift for more than just sitting in my room and playing if I'm a professional, and also just because when you meet these people and you hear their stories, it sticks with you. So creatively, you want to kind of do something with that energy. That's just natural for us.
Charity.
That's a lot of pressure. And it really is. Like, I appreciate everything they have done and have created. I think, just speaking from a young artist, and a lot of young artists, we feel that pressure, like we have to hold to that certain standard, or if we're a Black artist, we have to create this certain type of Black art. And personally, I've just been really trying to reimagine what that looks like, and not having it be just a certain cookie cutter because this is just the standard of how it's supposed to look, and you're supposed to share these certain experiences and express this certain type of way. So I don't like to put that personal pressure on myself, but I like to just show up with action in any way that I can, and still honor like my particular values of just community, of inclusion, of people coming together of love. That's like my personal mission within a lot of my art and my pieces. And I just
Yeah.
like to carry that through. So sometimes I speak on social issues if I want to speak on them within my art, and sometimes I don't, because that is not my personal every day. It's I experience more love than I do hate or things going away from each other. So I feel like as artists coming up, veteran artists, like for myself, it's just a reflection of what I see in my personal day.
Yeah.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any subject matter, Charity, that you think you'd like to take on? And I'm not saying this is not a continuation of the political or sociological question. Anything that you've seen, any direction that you want to go in that has you progressed, that like you see yourself going in and taking on in the near future?
Um, I want to embrace more of the unity. Um, I am my mother is Italian, my father is Black, and I definitely want to showcase that more within my art. I want to showcase more love, and in the beginning of my career, I focus more on Black identity, which I do love, but there's multiple sides of me, and there's multiple sides in our America. Like there's so many blended families and so many different walks of life coming together and living together. So I definitely want to honor more of the unity that does exist within inside, our America, our world, and our space.
Yeah.
Monica?
Um, right now, as a mother of three and trying to have another one and dealing with a somewhat stressful political climate when the pandemic hit, and I was pregnant during the pandemic, which was horrifying and scary and so many different things. And then I had a loss during the pandemic, which was also scary and horrifying and so many different things. So for me now, it's like I have this. I just want to connect with more women. I want to do more projects that empower women, not in, like I said, not in the I can go do everything in the world empowerment because we're all human, but just in, just that one girl that hasn't seen anything and doesn't have that image of that person that looks like her to dream, who was me, a little brown girl who didn't have a Black woman to look at. But there were other women in my life that empowered me that weren't brown. So how can I be that example, and how can I connect with those people, and how can I find those young girls um that don't necessarily need, if you're brown, you don't necessarily need a Black woman to dream. She may not have that like I didn't, but I want to be able to give her that spark of light that says she can do whatever she wants. And just because there's not a box that checks off what you want to be in your life doesn't mean you don't have to make one, that you don't have the power to make one. Make your own box. And I think for me, that's where I am in my life right now. I really want, especially with the climate. I mean, every time you turn around, can I go outside today? Am I allowed as a woman? It just kind of feels so like stressful, and it doesn't matter if you're Black or not. It's just stressful. And I think if you're Black, it's even more stressful sometimes, but that just depends on where you grew up. And I grew up in the deep South, and I came to a city that there were plenty of people that do look like me, but that doesn't mean that I felt like I belonged. It took a long time to get there. So I want to be part of the resolution. I may not be the one who leads the movement, but I would definitely like to use my work um, to leave a mark. I'll put it that way.
Totally makes sense. Uh, Notable projects that you guys would like people to see here in the city or elsewhere, or to look up or to experience. Charity?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, no problem.
It had a little glitch in the.
Oh yeah, it's the internet. Um, are there any projects that are notable or noteworthy or interesting that you have out there that you'd like people to see? I mean, of course, the Windsor
Mural.
Street project, the mural, but which I'm going to show. I wanted to have your faces on screen as we continue to talk, but I pulled up the image so people could see it, and I want everybody to know it's basically go to the intersection of Fulton and Windsor and continue south as if you're headed towards Ralph David Abernathy. Look to your left, there's a store with a beautiful mural on the left hand side, right across the street from the Rosa L. Burney Community Center. Is that accurate?
And I think 504 Windsor Street will put you like right there in front
Got
of
it.
it.
Yeah, definitely.
But other projects.
Any other project.
Well, we
So
want them all.
one of my murals actually just got taken down, so I can't share that one. But it's pretty awesome. It was for domestic workers, but the building got sold. But so that happens all the time. It's it's all good. It's part of the art world. But one of my major projects, I'm in the Microsoft building, the new Microsoft building in Atlanta, and I have a piece in the North Lobby, a mural.
Wow.
So definitely when that opens up, that's going to be super powerful because I got to experience the building, while they were putting finishing touches on it and everything. And that space is just amazing. And
Yeah,
what they're going to do with the space, just uniting the schools, tech, it's just going to be a super powerful thing, I think, for Atlanta. So to be in that space was definitely awesome. And I think if you're in the Atlanta area, just to experience that space it's going to be some change. So
is it the new building over? Is that the one that's over in Atlantic Station on the as you travel west? It's on the left.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Monica.
Let's see. I did a piece for Square in Atlantic Station, but I don't think their doors are going to be open anytime soon for anyone to be able to see it. But the project I'm super excited about, if the heat goes down, is the Bike Corral project I'm doing with the city of Atlanta. That will be at the corner of the Interlock and the Bell Yard Hotel, right in West Midtown.
Nice.
So I'll be painting the ground, the concrete. There'll be fixing stations and all kinds of colorful, bright imagery, which is my signature style too, that you'll now see lighting that corner up right there in West Midtown.
When's the ETA? When they expect it's going to be completed?
Department of Transportation is taking all of our fun colors away, but they're still approving it. Hopefully July and August we'll be able to start. It's about, I want to say 18 artists that'll be creating different pieces, and I got chosen to do one, so I'm excited.
Exciting. It's really cool.
Yeah. I could park my bike that I don't have yet over there. It's time
If
to
you're
buy
looking for a bike, but if you're looking for a bike, hit up Made by Mars and the guys over in they're at the Ponce Market.
Yep.
Right over Ponce City Market, right off of the intersection of what the hell is the name of that street? North Avenue and no. Ponce is
you're talking
parallel.
about behind it.
Yeah. The intersection is North Avenue going east-west, and then the same street as the gas station. Sorry, not the gas station, the car wash right there. Normally I'm really good at remembering, but it's Made by Mars. Look it up. He's on Instagram, and so is Atlanta Influences Everything, which is Tori's brand. They got a cool shop over there. A lot of cool shirts, a lot of cool brands, some really fantastic custom-made BMX and street bikes, and a few trail bikes. It's a really cool store and a cool experience. It'll be there all summer. You can go get a bike. You can take that bike. You can ride that bike over to Monica's artwork, and then you can park your bike and you can put air in your tires after you run over the bottle cap or the piece of glass that somebody left in the street for you to run over. So you could also, have the experience of having to fix your bike in a fresh new space, but I got tools for you. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a whole experience. It's like a
I
video
actually
game.
talked to Mars about doing a bike for me because Mars was one of the very first people to buy a painting from me when I was really young. And he
What?
was, yes, we went to college. Well, he went to Clark while I was at Spelman, and we
Right.
knew each other from the entertainment world when I was bartending, and they all knew I did art on the side. And when he was able to, he bought a piece for me. He said, "I promise you, I'm gonna get a piece from you, Mo." And one day he came up to me and he commissioned a piece, which that's how I learned how to do a commissioned piece. He told me exactly what he wanted, how he wanted it, his budget. He's like, and I'm gonna pay you. Don't give me no discount, nothing. And I'll never forget it. And it's funny that you mentioned him because I told him I was doing that bike corral and I wanted him to do a bike for me so I could have a bike at the bike corral.
Like,
And again, where's the bike corral going to be?
Hopefully July or August. They're still giving us a final date.
The location, the geographic
The
location.
location is the corner of where the interlock is in West Midtown and the
I'm
Bellyard
lost.
Hotel. It's across the street from what is that? The coffee shop, the little pop-up coffee shop by West Egg.
yeah.
West
I know.
Midtown. At
West,
the
yeah.
end of 10th, at the almost really at the end of 10th Street, somewhere between 10th and 14th on Northside Drive or Howe Mill.
No, it's on the Howell Mill side, right by the Bellyard Hotel, the Velvet
Okay.
Taco.
I've seen the Velvet
Called the
Taco.
Luluman or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, Luluman. Very expensive yoga clothes.
Yeah.
Very
He loved it.
expensive yoga clothes. People love their clothes. To see dudes walking out there with their little yoga sneakers and yoga pants, and women walking out there with bags full of hundreds of dollars of yoga clothes that they're saying they're gonna go do yoga, but really they just want to look good at the coffee shop. They go to the coffee shop to get the coffee and the snacks.
Yeah. Everybody in Atlanta wears leggings.
Everybody's got leggings on.
Well, I will be right at that corner. They can stand there and sit on their bikes if they don't want to ride them.
Get out of the car, sit on it for a minute with your yoga pants, drink your coffee, and then put the bike in the back of the car and pretend.
Pump your tires up on the corner. Pump them up.
Right, exactly. So we gotta look forward to both of those pieces of art. I guess, Charity, yours, you won't be able to really go into the Microsoft building. It won't be like anybody can just go in and walk around. Or will it be that kind of a situation?
I'm not positive because they're doing so many things with the local schools, and the area that I was actually creating for, there's like a bar next door and restaurant within the space. There's going to be a studio in there. So I think people it's going to be more open for people to come within there. It's going to be more interactive. They even have a space for people to do musical shows and performances outside.
Oh, okay.
So I believe it's going to be a bit more interactive where people can actually see it. But as far as like other public activations, I'm actually doing a sidewalk too. So I'll have one on Broad Street, but it's not for the bikes. It's going to be for the Broad Walk area for the students and people who enjoy 5 Points if they do want to see something more in the streets.
In them streets.
And the streets are free.
Yeah.
We in the streets for the next 2 months.
Yeah. I'll be trying to be in the air conditioning for the next 2 months. I have no choice. When I'm working, I'm in the heat. So whenever I can, I'm trying to be in the air conditioning. Listen, thank you guys both for taking the time to do this. And
That's great.
And I hope you guys can take the link to it and you can pass it around and more people can enjoy it and learn about it. I think next week I'm going to try, if he's available, to get John Crooms, the photographer, on and talk to him. Would like to get a couple friends of mine that are directors on, Lenny Bass and some other people, to talk about film and their experience in the film world, and maybe another writer soon. My man did a book on Jay Dilla that just came out, and it's an interesting read and book about his process and life and everything. It's an influence on the music world, which is huge.
Yeah.
Detroit. Right.
Hey, not that
So I will get you guys a link as soon as possible. Thanks to Miss JUK for showing up. Thanks to Heidi for listening. Shout out to DK and a few other people who have remained silent in the background as lurkers, listening to the content and not expressing their opinions. And shout out to Ramadan for the information about that Arts for Unity program, the 501c3 nonprofit that he mentioned that's mentoring and educating underserved communities through the arts. Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, that's what's up.
See, we all learn together. I had no idea that even
do.
existed.
We do.
Monica's somebody that I actually never got to know when she worked at Puffy's restaurant, even though we used to do Hot 97.5 and 107.9 broadcast there all the time. I had to put the wiring in for that.
I was the
And
only female all those years.
wait a minute, you were the only female bartender, but what's her name was the manager
Who
that
was there?
that works in film now. She had the blue punk rock hair.
Oh, you're talking about Ina?
Ina, yeah.
Yeah, I was
Ina.
there with Ina. We went
You were
to
there
college
at the same
together
time Ina
too.
was there. Yeah, we did the Super Bowl party there. We did 2 or 3 listening parties there.
Yes,
we did the Ryan Cameron morning show 2 or 3 times. I used to have to.
met Ryan then too.
I
was there. I was young Monica. You just probably didn't know who I was. I did the Jazz
I was in a rush
poster back then.
I'm a screw turner. I'm a technician. So I'm not there to get famous. So I'm there to. I was just there to make sure it worked and not have any problems with anybody. I just wanted to get in, get out.
Small world.
It is. Atlanta is a small town with a lot of traffic.
Definitely.
Right.
It is. It's just seriously just a small town with a lot of traffic. I hope to see more of you guys' artwork. I'm gonna find a frame for your piece. Monica, I'm gonna have to save. I'm currently saving for a Famu Peku piece. So when I get that money, instead of buying a house or a car with it, I'm gonna buy a Famu piece. And then the money that I probably would have put into savings for something else, I'll just have to put it into a Monica painting.
Yes,
because you
please
guys
add to that beautiful list.
you guys are just getting expensive, man. Everybody, all the talented people are expensive now.
It's an investment.
Yes, it is an investment. And it's an investment, and it's also supporting other people in your community.
Yeah.
And that's super, super important, is to, whether it be buying art or bikes or going to parties. Sometimes I buy tickets to go to parties I never go to.
Wow.
Like Alley Cat throws a lot of parties I never go. Life lives down here now, and he has house events I never go to. I went to George Wallace last night and listened to him and J. Anthony Brown, who are 2 total old school ends of the comedy spectrum.
Wow.
George Wallace is super clean, is kind of intellectual, and then Jay is just
off the chain.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. But it was enjoyable. I was glad I got to go out and check it out way out in it's in Norcross, actually. The new Atlanta Comedy Theater. It's out there. Yeah.
Creatives don't go that far. We stay inside the perimeter.
What? You're ITP only? You're like, Duluth? Where's Duluth?
Yeah, creative folks be like, what?
Can I take the train there?
Is that next to the stadium?
is that near the stadium somewhere? Because that sounds far. I get it.
We like to walk and bike and be mobile. We ain't going that far.
I hope you guys get something on the Beltline sometime. So there's so much space on the Beltline that's yet unexplored and developed yet. So
yeah,
you won't be painting on those rich people's back fences, but there are other places, because that is the cleanest, most secure part of the Beltline, I must imagine. The east side, it goes to Buckhead. Have you guys been over there? The golf course is on one side, and all these incredible houses are on the other side.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nice. You will not be hearing trap music on that part of the Beltline. That will probably not be happening.
Trap it out. We're gonna have speakers on our shoulders like Jay Dillon.
I'm gonna be that guy, like on January 6th when everybody ran the White House. I would have been like, I'll see you guys later. This is all very interesting, and I understand your commitment to your so-called commitment to, but I'm
The way
out.
my activism is set up, I'm at home in the AC.
Right. My life's not really set up for all this. My flight's late. My flight's early actually, and I gotta go
Right.
catch my flight. I called an Uber and he's waiting on me, and I can't cancel because they'll charge me the fee. I would have had so many excuses.
I
I
love
was
it.
no, there's no way. So I mean, with everything going on, I look forward to also hearing you guys' take as things continue to progress with the Supreme Court and
Yeah, absolutely.
the elections. There are midterm elections coming up, and it's going to
Mhm.
be interesting to see how that pans out. You
Yeah.
can go with Warnock or Herschel Walker. You can go with Stacy or Brian.
Yeah.
We have so many interesting options.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So many interesting options this year. I'm amazed that I'm not making any comments on any names, but I'm amazed that certain people are running.
Yeah.
You guys take care. Have a good evening.
Thanks
Uh,
for having us. It's
uh,
wonderful.
no, it's great. It's great to actually have an in-depth conversation with you guys when you're not busy painting. Every time I would come by the painting, you guys would be serious. Monica's always serious.
I was
Are you sure?
not.
Are you sure you weren't supposed to be a junior principal at a high school somewhere?
It was
She's supposed to be the assistant disciplinary principal at
it's so funny.
somewhere named after something junior high school.
Because I'm the one that cuts up. But when it's you're right. Because I was always be like, Charity, come on, it's 12 o'clock. That sun gonna come across that building. She's
Yeah,
like, we good. And then the sun come out. She's like, oh, it's hot.
I saw her out there with the projector
Oh yeah.
in the middle of the
Yeah.
night. That's it. She's like, I'm not doing this during the daytime. You can't do a projector during
Yes,
the
you
Yeah.
can.
daytime.
That's
Yeah.
only
And
yeah.
the fact that the neighborhood was so receiving of you guys and it was safe for you to work out there is just
Yeah.
a huge statement for the city.
Yeah.
A city that's constantly debating its crime rate, and it's
Right.
it's present in the Black community. It's just good that you guys 100% got a project done. I think changes the look of the neighborhood. The entry of the neighborhood is right there. You pass the community center, you're headed down the street, and later this year, I think they're going to be doing. Are they doing Puffy's thing, the revolt thing again this year? You guys are the insiders. I wouldn't know.
Oh, at 787 Windsor?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I heard it was nice last year though.
Anybody who goes to 787, if you come in that way, from I-20, you'll pass by the mural. That's
Yes.
that's a lot of eyeballs for you guys. People on their way from the liquor store or to the liquor store,
Right.
which I'm still questioning how it got in the neighborhood, catty corner from a community center and 2 blocks from a school. But
That's a bigger
hey,
conversation.
it's another
Yeah.
conversation.
See, you
Yeah.
And
trying to start. You trying to start on a good Sunday.
who me, I start every day bright and early. Sun comes up. Moments later, I'm talking trash.
Right. I love it.
No matter what. I look forward to more artwork by you guys. Thanks for taking the time to come through. I hope it was as beneficial to you as it was to me. I learned a lot. I enjoyed it. And now I'm going to get food and ice cream, even though I shouldn't eat ice cream. It's Sunday. It's hot. It's summertime. It's Atlanta, and Jenny's is open. So
Ooh,
As women tell ourselves all the time, you deserve it. You just tell
yeah.
yourself you deserve it, and then you go eat it.
there's very little. My thought process is there's very little difference between anybody except for their perspective of how they see themselves in the world and what they are willing to do or not do based on their perception of themselves in the world.
Yeah.
My mom was always a good negotiator. My mom was always a leader. She was always she never took anything from anybody. She's a brilliant woman, and that's my paradigm, for a lot of things. So when a lot of people say stuff, I was like, man, you should just be more like my mom, and you wouldn't have those problems.
Women are man. We the ish.
I mean, yeah, it really. I mean, honestly, look across history, and the reality is that everything that that men have worked for, a lot of it has been to impress and or acquire women, and a lot of the negative things that they've done has been to attempt to control women or control their position for the sake of impressing or not impressing women. So there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
It's a scary reality, but there's something to be said for that. I think there's a definite balance in the world, and everybody has their place in it. And sometimes I wonder if we're going so far in one direction that it will be toxic, and we'll discover things about our society that we didn't want to know, and about ourselves that we didn't want to know. But I'm just here for the entertainment. It's just, for me, it's just another streaming channel of nonsense to watch. And it's sad, but the things that are being done that women have to experience are pretty tragic right now. It's pretty unfortunate that we made progress and we were willing to undo that progress, and
We're
we
gonna keep
still
working now.
no. All you can do is keep moving and keep going forward. Ask somebody that worked on the Great Wall of China if you can find them.
Yeah.
All
We're
those
not
all those huge things that we've done in our society as human beings. We just had to keep going to get through it. A lot of it was done by brute force,
yeah.
and we
We're gonna
survived
do
it.
it with love. We're gonna, as Charity said earlier, we're gonna do it with love. We're gonna uplift. We're gonna empower. We're gonna educate, and we're not gonna get caught up in the negative because that's the dark light. You know what I mean? We're gonna stay in the light.
No problems. What did
No,
my band say that used to
none,
be on Russ Parr show? I want no problems.
none.
Real,
I
real
want
quick,
none.
I gotta throw the I called it up on the web. I have not mastered this program. I have not had time, but that is the building.
Yep.
And look at the colors, each column of individual color, and all the faces and all the symbols on them. It's a really an amazing piece of artwork, and I hope everybody makes it through so they can check it out.
Yeah, Charity did a great design on it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
I'll be riding my bike past it and driving my car past it.
Talking about this bike. I'm getting my
The pro-
bike.
the all you know you better
Put this
get your
bike down.
you better call Mars,
I
Monica.
am.
Or do you have an idea of what you're gonna do? Are you gonna make a
Yeah,
Spellman
I've
bike?
already I've already been talking to them about it.
Did you do like art pieces that he can mat onto the bike? Is it gonna have
I'm
like
not telling
multiple
you
colors?
nothing. I'm not
That's
It's
telling you
great.
nothing.
that's cruel. You're like Marvel and
You
DC
gonna
Comics.
see. I'm gonna have my leggings on and I'm gonna have my bike whenever I finish that mural.
So, see, that's where it goes wrong. When you say, "Well, I have to do this first, and then this, and then I'll do that." That's when you're just
Yep.
like, "Yeah, it's never gonna happen."
Our outfit got to be strong. We thinking about the outfit, so the
I'm
bike.
a
I got
I'm yeah.
outfit to go with the bike.
I'm a bad person to have a friend because I'm the dude that'll text you like, "Hey Mars, I was just talking to Monica online, and she was talking about that bike she's gonna get." Dot dot dot.
Yep.
And
You know.
he'll look at his text messages and go, "Word, what's up, Monica?" And you'll
Word.
be,
That's all he.
you I was just gonna come by the store the other day, Mars.
Yeah, we just did an event together. We painted live for Gideon's Promise, and he was the DJ. It was amazing. My piece got auctioned that night for an incredible amount of money to help Gideon's Promise, which is public defenders.
Really?
And yeah, it was incredible. And Mars, I was almost in tears when my piece sold, and I got to look at my brother's face because he was there jamming in the background, making them spend their money for something great, which we all know that our community, we need those public defenders to actually care about our people, and that's what this
Activism.
particular organization does.
Activism.
Yeah,
Look at you.
through the
Look at you.
arts. He was the DJ, I was the painter.
Where was that? Where was that event held?
At ASW Distillery. We just did that with Ina.
Really? Is she
Yeah,
over at that distillery?
no, they were putting the event together for someone, and it was done there.
Wow. Okay, so she produced the event.
She put it together. I believe Ford was part of it as well.
Fantastic. Good for her. It's good
Yep.
to know the people that it's strange when you know somebody for a long time and you see them climbing a ladder, doing bigger and bigger things. It's good. Look at
Yeah.
you.
Charity said it earlier. Everybody's not out loud, but we making waves. There's people out here making waves and there's people out here making billboards, but that doesn't mean that the work isn't going to be done or isn't being done.
Right. And by the way, you should, speaking of out loud, you should shout out your food truck.
Yes, I have a food truck with my husband. It's called Johnny and Clyde's. On Instagram, it's Johnny and Clyde with no S, named after our fathers. And my art is wrapped on the truck.
And there you have it. Yet another Monica venture. Way to go. All right, ladies, I'm going to go escape out into the streets of Atlanta and then probably play some records later on, or at least get the drum machines turned on. Yes. I just had to move all my stuff from one hard drive to the other. I've downloaded so much music and purchased so much music. I ran out of hard drive space last week and crashed my computer.
Oh, no.
Not learn. Would you say, Charity?
I said you'll get it back. You'll be good.
Oh no, it's fine. I just moved the stuff over to an even bigger hard drive, and then now I'm gonna set the computer up downstairs to download some more stuff.
See? Nice. So go ahead and offload some of that vinyl so I can create some bigger things.
No, this vinyl. This is no. See, this vinyl, the vinyl you're looking at, is the stuff that I chose to keep. I used to have a entire, basically a garage, wall to wall with records. And even after a specific theft of certain things, I've slowly started to recover that stuff. And since, there's some records that you just have a need to have, like a tactile, solid version of. But a lot of stuff is, I'm fine with having it digitally because of the things you can do with it.
Yeah.
You can truncate it and loop it and, put another acapella over it. I don't use sync a lot, but if you are remixing and using 3 or 4 decks at the same time, you need to use sync. Ableton, the machine right here to my right, is incredible because you can just basically call up different patterns on it and sit there, and it's like having like a dance record or a hip hop record where you can just bring the breakdown in, and then you can just bring just the hi-hat in or just the bass line in. And the 808, I don't have my 909 anymore or access to an 808 anymore, so I bought the Roland machine, and the Roland machine has all those drum machines based on their original samples built into it. Plus, it synchronizes itself with Serato. So the things that you can do are amazing. Like, you can really, with less effort, do all the stuff like Egyptian Lover used to do. He used to literally DJ with his 808. Like, he would, right, he still does it, but I mean, he'd rock a record and then bring his 808 up and then just, old school, man. Old school. You guys can listen to the stream. You might not show up, but I'll be on anyway. Every morning. All right, y'all. I'll send you the link. Thank you so much for your time. Take care. I'm looking forward to seeing more stuff. Stay in touch, and I hope everybody gets a chance to go check out the other art that you mentioned, as well as the piece at 504. Is it 540 Windsor Street?
504.
504 Windsor Street. All right, y'all. Take care. Huh?
The Windsor Plaza.
The Windsor Plaza. I forgot it's called the Windsor Plaza.
Yeah.
I was
we
called
painted the letters, so we can't forget.
Right. They made it
20
so it's
feet in the air. Yeah.
Right. They made it so you can still see Windsor Plaza. I hear them. Yeah, good. I think I've used the laundromat one time. All right, y'all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Stay safe out there.
All right.
All right. Peace.